Oh yeah, baby. Look at that. These are some of my favorites, man. I just want to sit back and marvel at them. So right over here, we have a 1947. We have a 1952, right?
54.
Okay, so 1947, 1954, 1957, and 1959. So actually all in order of year, which is kind of cool. I've said this in previous episodes that I believe the LG-1 to be one of the greatest acoustics that Gibson ever made. So there's the LGO, which is all mahogany. The LG-1 is really a beautiful guitar. It's a small body guitar. LG actually stood for lady guitar. So it's supposed to be for girl hands. But they're great guitars. And the difference really between the LG-1 and the LG-2s and the LG-3s is the type of bracing. It's the ladder bracing versus the X bracing. So you'll get a little bit more of a boxy sound out of an LG-1 than you will out of an LG-2 usually. But sometimes it's actually a good thing. In fact, I think with these guitars, you'll hear the variety on them. And they all kind of have, except for this one, pretty much beat to shit strings. So we'll be able to kind of get a good comparison. Gibson made really consistent guitars at this point, but they're still all different because everything from the crystallization of the sap inside the wood to the way the wood was treated to how much lacquer is on it. Because, for example, if this one has more lacquer, it may be more dead because it stops the wood from vibrating as much versus something that's cracked to hell like this. A lot of these guys that look like they've been through wars are the ones that sound the greatest. And I gotta tell you that something cool about this guitar is you could see that at one point it was Sam. So it came with the name, and I bought this and it was listed as poor condition. And as you can see, look, this actually happened during my lifetime with it. So that's kind of sad. But if you look at it, it's just got tons of checking, but this is not really that cracked. In fact, it only has it looks like one real crack on it. And it's just really, really played. I wouldn't call this poor condition. I would call this like good condition. I wouldn't even call this player's grade. I think that this is like at the very bottom of what you'd be looking at. I mean, maybe these are some fixed holes. I'm not sure. Or maybe this is just the finish coming off. I don't know. It's beautiful though. So it's cool too because the difference in colors. You have like what looks like to be like a really heavy, old school, deep tobacco burst from 47. And this guitar obviously is in the best condition. This is a 54, and it's more traditional tobacco burst, not like a dirty, almost burnt maple look, but just like a more traditional full over tobacco burst. Again, we have another tobacco burst. It's a little bit more like this one, but a different color. And you can see it's definitely aged differently. And then a little bit of a cherry burst. I don't know about you guys. I want to get into the freaking studio and just like A-B these fuckers. Just play the same song. We're going to go back and forth from each one with the same microphone and make sure that this stuff sounds great. And then you can tell me which one you like better. The 47, the 54, the 57, or the 59. LG-1. We in? Cool. The first thing is, this guy scares me. That's why I don't even want to, this actually has the newest strings of all of them, but you can see, I love elixirs because they look beautiful down here, but they're starting to fall apart. They just sound great. But I have to be very careful tuning this thing because one wrong turn and like literally the tuning button will disintegrate. And eventually I'll probably have to change the buttons, which is not a terrible thing, but I like to keep things as original as possible. And I'm cheap. Like, who wants to spend money sending this to somebody to change the buttons? Wow, that thing sounds sick. Wow. It's got a very comfortable neck. I love this neck. It's not super skinny like a lot of those 60s necks, but it's not like a baseball bat 50s neck. I really love the feel on this 47. So again, it's got a nice, it really fits in the palm of your hand, but it's not like 60s small. So, you know, lady guitar LG-1, it's supposed to be for small hands. This 54 has a little bit even smaller of a neck than the 47. So the 47, I think when we play the 57, it's gonna have a way bigger neck than that. And the 59 has a huge neck. And one thing to bear in mind is that that has a rosewood bridge. This has a rosewood bridge with pins, so it's slightly different. They're not exactly the same bridge. Okay, this has a nice sweet tone right off the bat. I'm not sure how I feel about it compared to that. The neck is definitely skinnier than the 47. I feel like that top string is a lot more muted. I mean, I really love how that open E sounds on this thing. It really does sound spectacular. So overall, I think my immediate impression is I like the 47 a little bit better, but I think that like when I play this, like the small tone like is really sweet on this. I don't think it rings out quite the same as the other one. And that could be something to do with the lacquer. Next two, not necessarily age before, it's definitely, in this case, age before beauty. Or maybe not, I don't know. So this is the 59. So far my favorite neck profile has probably been the 47. Not that the 54 is any slouch, I actually really like it. It's funny because the 54 was slightly smaller than the 47, and this one's got bigger again. And this is probably somewhere in between. And this one, you can tell the frets were redone, which in some cases is really cool. It does not have a vintage feel. It feels like it should be like a shredder. But it definitely has a crazy, like a shredder decided to put like bass frets in this fucker. gotta say off the bat, this is my least favorite. It's not that it plays. I kind of like, I feel like the frets are a little bit cumbersome. They're a little big for me. It just doesn't sound as sweet when I play an E chord. To my ears, we have to go back, review the footage. It's kind of like Ghost Hunters. It's like, you know, it did some, what is there like, I'm dead. The thing is, that's great about these type of guitars and these instruments is that you don't really know. Because sometimes like there's chameleons. Like I used to, my buddy has a D45 and I played it a bunch and it just blows out so much air that recording it, it just sounds like a giant like air fart. Sometimes like what sounds good to your ears isn't necessarily what sounds as good to tape, or something that sounds good to tape in a mix doesn't sound as good when it's soloed. So, you know, there's a lot of different factors. And again, bear in mind, these strings on these are bullshit. You're probably like, why are you using like a $7,000 microphone with bullshit? It does sound really good though. I mean, I have yet to find a bad sounding LG-1. So, last one, we got the 1959, the coveted year, the 59. So first off, these tuners are so beautiful. They are original, but like they almost look like fake, like Jim's tuners. But this guitar has really aged well. Oh, I already like that way better, in my opinion, just off the top. Now, this has the 59 neck. It's actually it's almost identical. So none of these necks are like huge. The 47, I actually have to say, is probably the biggest neck so far. It's bigger than the 59. I didn't realize that. Wow. I love, this thing's got some serious, all right. Wow, this one has some serious like live sparkiness going to it that I'm just digging. I don't know. What do you think, Jim, off the top of your head? Which one sounded the best from over there?
47 or the 54?
I feel like, for me, it's the 47. It's definitely the first one, and then I think it's either the 54 or the 59. Definitely the least of my. I think you got to keep the 54, bro. I think you got to keep it, man. I think it poops on this one. And I got to tell you, man, I don't think I like the frets. I don't think I like the frets. They just don't feel right. I love the necks on the LG guitars because I guess maybe I have lady hands. Maybe my hands were meant to be lady hands. I just think that they're great guitars. And it's interesting that these were like the low-end student models, but I just think that they sound great. They do have a somewhat of a boxy overtone to all of them, which can be a bad thing, but can also be a good thing because there's a lot of records that have that kind of sound to it. Like if you want like almost an old Dylan folk, Woody Guthrie, like there's a bunch of stuff that like that works really well for. But each one of these is like kind of a different shade of brown ochre. So, you know, let's beat the crap out of that brush and create our little happy trees. Why don't you smash that subscribe button already?